The Clocktower's secret. In the heart of a quiet little town stood an ancient clock tower, its tall spire visible from every corner of the village. The clock's hands glowed faintly, ticking with a deep, resonant hum that seemed to whisper secrets to those who passed by. Few paid attention to it, except for a young boy named Lucas. Lucas sat slouched at the base of the clock tower, endlessly scrolling through his phone. The afternoon sun warmed the cobblestones, but Lucas was too absorbed in his screen to notice. He sighed loudly. "Nothing ever happens in this boring town," he muttered to himself. The hours dragged on, and as the sun dipped below the horizon, the square grew quiet. Just as Lucas was about to head home, the clock struck midnight. A deep melodic chime rang out, louder and more powerful than ever before. Lucas looked up in surprise as the clock's face began to glow brighter, the golden hands shimmering like starlight. Then, with a low creak, the door at the base of the tower swung open. Lucas hesitated, curiosity bubbling inside him. He glanced around the empty square before stepping cautiously inside. The interior of the clock tower was unlike anything Lucas had ever seen. The walls were lined with clocks of every shape and size, their rhythmic ticking filling the air. Gears and pendulums moved in perfect harmony, creating a symphony of time. At the center of the room stood a grand golden clock, its intricate design glowing softly. As Lucas stared in awe, a shimmering figure materialized in front of the clock. It was an old man, dressed in robes adorned with stars and tiny moving gears. His eyes twinkled as he smiled at Lucas. "Welcome, Lucas," the old man said, his voice deep and kind. "This is the clock tower of time. Every second, every moment holds a secret. But only if you're ready to see it." Lucas blinked, confused. "I don't get it. It's just time. There's always more of it, right?" The old man's smile faded slightly. He waved his hand, and the room began to spin. Clocks whirred, their ticking growing louder as Lucas was swept into a whirlwind of visions. First, he saw himself earlier that day, sitting in the park with his best friend, Jake. Jake had asked for his help with a project, but Lucas, glued to his phone, had shrugged him off. In the vision, Jake walked away, shoulders slumped, disappointment etched on his face. Lucas winced. The scene shifted. Lucas now saw himself as a little boy, running through a park with his mother. Her laughter rang out as they played tag, her warm smile lighting up the memory. But the vision faded too quickly, leaving Lucas with a hollow ache in his chest. Finally, the whirlwind brought him to a dimly lit room. He was older now, an adult, sitting alone in a chair. The walls were lined with clocks, their ticking echoing in the silence. He stared at them blankly, lost as the hands of time moved relentlessly forward. The whirlwind stopped. Lucas found himself back in the clock tower, his chest heaving as he caught his breath. The old man's voice was soft but firm. "Time is not endless, Lucas. Every second you waste is a moment you'll never get back. What will you do with the time you have?" Lucas swallowed hard. The weight of the old man's words settled over him, and for the first time, he understood. Before he could respond, the old man in the room began to fade, and Lucas found himself back outside the clock tower. The sky was tinged with the warm hues of dawn. The clock's hands ticked steadily, their glow softer now, but somehow more purposeful. Lucas stood there for a moment, staring at the clock tower, then took a deep breath and ran home. He found Jake and apologized, offering to help with his project. He spent the afternoon helping his mom in the kitchen, laughing at her jokes. And when the day was done, he sat by his window, watching the stars, his phone forgotten on the desk. The next evening, Lucas returned to the clock tower. He looked up at its glowing hands and smiled. The clock tower had shared its greatest secret with Lucas. Every moment is valuable. Spend it wisely. Good night, little ones.